Good day, everyone. I'm Miss Dolores L. Filipino, and together with my co-presenter Gracia DQ. Capaz and Charlan G. Asor, we will be discussing intelligence, concept, theories, and measurement. To start our topic, let's define intelligence. Intelligence is the ability to think, learn from experience, solve problems, and adapt to new situations. Intelligence is important because it has an impact on many human behaviors. And according to psychologist Robert Sternberg, defined intelligence as the mental abilities necessary for adaptation to, as well as shaping and selection of, any environmental context.
The study of human intelligence dates back to the late 1800s when Sir Francis Galton, the cousin of Charles Darwin, became one of the first people to study intelligence. To better understand this, let's go back to the rich history of intelligence.
Good day everyone, I am Charlene G. Asor. I was assigned to tackle about the brief history of intelligence, the first part of our report. So, Francis Galton was interested in the concept of a gifted individual, so he created a lab to measure reaction times and other physical characteristics to test his hypothesis that intelligence is a general mental ability that is a product of biological evolution. Galton theorized that because quickness and other physical attributes were evolutionarily advantageous, they would also provide a good indication of general mental ability. Thus, Galton operationalized intelligence as reaction time. Operationalization is an important process in research that involves defining an unmeasurable phenomenon such as intelligence in measurable terms such as reaction time, allowing the concept to be studied empirically. Galton's study of intelligence in the laboratory settings and his theorization of the heritability of intelligence paved the way for decades of future research and debate in this field. Some researchers argue that intelligence is a general ability, whereas others make the assertion that intelligence comprises specific skills and talents. Psychologists contend that intelligence is genetic or inherited, and others claim that it is largely influenced by the surrounding environment. As a result, psychologists have developed several contrasting theories of intelligence as well as individual tests that attempt to measure this very concept. That ends my report. Thank you very much.
Good day everyone, I am Gracia de Quiros Capos, and together with my partners Ma'am Charlene Asor and Ma'am Dolores Filipino, I am about to discuss the last part of our topic in intelligence, which is intelligence testing. So what is intelligence testing? It refers to the theory and practice of measuring people's performance on various diagnostic instruments, the so-called intelligence test, as a tool for predicting future behavior and life prospects, or as a tool for identifying interventions, for example, like educational programs. The first type of intelligence test that we will talk about is the Bennett-Simon scale, courtesy of Alfred Bennett and Tudor Simon. During the early 1900s, the French government enlisted the help of psychologist Alfred Bennett to understand which children were going to be slower learners and thus require more assistance in the classroom. This happens when the French government introduced a law mandating universal education in France. They need to identify slow-learning children so that they could be placed in a special education programs instead of labeling them sick and be sent to the asylum. As a result, he and his colleague, Tudor Simon, began to develop a specific set of questions that focus on areas such as memory and problem-solving skills. This type of test evaluates persons 2 years of age and older and is designed for use primarily with children. It consists of age-graded series of problem solution, involves arithmetical, memory, and vocabulary skills. Here is an example of this type of test. As we can see in this sample IQ question, Alfred Bennett and Tudor Simon uses polygon sequencing to test a child's intelligence. They tested these questions on groups of students aged 3 to 12 to help standardize the measure. And Bennett's realization was that some children were able to answer advanced questions that their older peers were able to answer. And as a result, he created the concept of a mental age, or how well an individual performs intellectually relative to the average performance at that specific age. Ultimately, Bennett finalized the scale, known as the Bennett-Simon scale, that became the basis for the intelligence test still used today. The Bennett-Simon scale of 1905 comprised of 30 items designed to measure judgment, comprehension, and reasoning, which Bennett deemed the key characteristics of intelligence. The second type of intelligence test is the Stanford-Bennett intelligence scale. When Bennett-Simon scale made its way over to the United States, Stanford psychologist Louis Terman adapted the test for American students and published the Stanford-Bennett intelligence scale in 1916. The Stanford-Bennett scale is a contemporary assessment which measures intelligence according to 5 features of cognitive ability, including fluid reasoning, knowledge quantitative reasoning, visual spatial processing, and working memory. Here, both verbal and nonverbal responses are measured. The development of the Stanford-Bennett intelligence scale initiated the modern field of intelligence testing, and was one of the first examples of an adaptive. Okay, what is illustrated here is the Stanford-Bennett intelligence scale. This test is a single or using a single number referred to as the intelligence quotient, or the IQ, to indicate an individual's scores. In the scale, the average score for the test is 100, that one in the middle. And any score from 90 to 109 is considered to be in the average intelligence range. Scores from 110 to 119 are considered to be high average. Superior score ranges from 120 to 129, and anything over 130 is considered very. In calculating the IQ, the student's mental age is divided by his or her actual age, or the chronological age, and this result is multiplied by 100. So if the mental age is equal to the chronological age, then the IQ is 100 or average. If, however, the mental age is 12, but the chronological age is only 10, then there will be an average or above average IQ of 120. Despite of its usefulness, after some time, the Stanford Bennett test has been criticized for its low reliability with individuals with IQ scores of less than 50, for being culturally biased, and for yielding low scores with children who are culturally. The third type of intelligence test is the WISC and WISE. After Louis Terman created Stanford Bennett test, American psychologist David Wechsler developed a new tool due to his dissatisfaction with the limitations of the Stanford Bennett test, which is low in reliability. Thus, just like Thurstone, Gardner, and Sternberg, Wechsler believed that intelligence involved many different mental abilities, and felt that Stanford Bennett scale too closely reflected the idea of one general intelligence. They tested these questions in groups of students aged 3 to 12 to help standardize the measure, and Bennett's realization was that some children were able to answer advanced questions that their older peers were able to answer, and as a result, he created the concept of a mental age, or how well an individual performs intellectually relative to the average performance at that specific age. Here is an example of the WISC-4 test question that David Wechsler developed. I think this, since this test is intended for children, it may be too easy for us adults to get the correct answer in this specific test. What is WISE? The Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. It is also an IQ test designed to measure cognitive ability in adults and older adolescents, including verbal comprehension, perceptual reasoning, working memory, and processing speed. The latest version of the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, or the WISE-4, is standardized on 2,200 healthy people between the ages of 16 and 90 years. The standardization of the test involves giving it to a large number of people at different ages in order to compute the average score on the test at each age level. The overall IQ scores combines the test taker's performance in all 4 categories. And rather than calculating this number based on mental and chronological age, the WISE compares the individual score to the average score at that level, as calculated by the standardization process. The Flynn effect. It is important to regularly standardize an intelligence test. Why? Because it is already a phenomenon that overall level of intelligence in a population may change over time. This phenomenon is known as the Flynn effect, named after James Flynn from New Zealand. Flynn effect refers to the observation that scores on intelligence tests worldwide increase from decade to decade. So as experts say, our generation is a smart generation. So maybe it is really a manifestation of the Flynn effect. Let's proceed to the last type of intelligence test, the aptitude test and the achievement test. So aside from IQ tests, there are other tests such as aptitude and achievement tests, which are designed to measure intellectual capacity. Achievement tests measure what content a student has already learned, such as a unit test in history or a math final exam. Whereas an aptitude test measures a student's potential or ability to learn. Although this may sound similar to an IQ test, aptitude test typically measures abilities in a very specific and narrow areas. As to IQ test, this test assess general intelligence of a person. So this is the end of our topic on intelligence. We sincerely hope that you learned something from it. In behalf of my group mates, we would like to express our deep gratitude, especially to our professor, Ma'am Nerissa M. Beatriz. Thank you so much, Ma'am. Okay, what is illustrated here